Oh no, it's ruined.
So I recently took place with the Blind Date with a Banned Comics program through Creators Assemble. My blind date was with Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. And fair warning, this review might have some spoilers in it because we will be showing excerpts from the comic, but the only reason that we're going to show them is to try and encourage you to read this comic for yourself. So hopefully we won't be spoiling too much, and it's only for book 1. There are actually 7 books in this series, and the hardcover, which is entitled Big Hard Sex Criminals, actually has the distinction of being the 7th most banned book in the United States, and being a Hugo Award winner, which has got to be kind of a unique situation. Now, as I've mentioned before in previous videos, I do most of my reading in the bathtub. So when I opened up the first few pages and I was hit with this scene,
I had to hide underwater, with the tub running to get away.
it was a little meta. So the young lady in the tub in this story, the one who's not me, is actually Susie, who's the main character in our plot line. And now Susie has just recently lost her father in a tragic accident at Bancorp. And it's really upheaved her entire family. Her mother won't stop crying, and the only place that she can find any kind of mental peace is underwater in the bathtub. I can relate.
I swear this gets funny in a second. Well, funnier. Maybe I should tell jokes. Thomas Pynchon walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Why the long face?" Pynchon joke. John told me that one.
This is Thomas Pynchon, by the way. He's an American author. He wrote Gravity's Rainbow, V, Not for Vendetta, or the one with the lizard people. He also wrote The Crying Lot 49. You'd probably appreciate that joke because puns are kind of his thing if you read his stuff. In fact, he had a cameo in a Simpsons episode.
What do you think, Thomas Pynchon?
These wings are delicious. I'll put this recipe in the Gravity's Rainbow cookbook right next to the frying of Latka 49.
Anyway, during one of her aquatic sessions, Susie discovers the power of a well-placed faucet. That is to say, she has her first orgasm.
I knew, of course, what was happening when it started to happen. Even though I didn't really know, I wasn't the first girl in my class, and I wasn't the last. But I suppose until then, I thought it was something that only dirty girls did.
This event is an awakening for Susie, and in addition to the sensation that comes with her, as the French say, petit mot, she also experiences lights and colors and...
Time stopped, literally. And I know, you know that. Scratch that. I had no idea what was happening to me whatsoever.
Yes, she just stopped time with her clitoris. But what she appreciates most about this is the silence that comes along with this. The entire world just stops, and there's this blissful quiet. And that's actually what she comes to call this realm that she learns to access, the quiet.
I knew how to get away from everything. Finally.
She starts trying to learn everything that she can about this phenomenon. She goes to the most sexually accomplished girls at her school.
What the?
Yeah, they don't know anything. So she turns to her friendly neighborhood gynecologist.
What happens after you have an orgasm? I'm asking for a friend.
Usually, fall asleep, Susan, with your husband.
And that doesn't work either. And her mother?
What, Susie?
I had a few questions.
About what, Susie?
You know, sex questions.
Great. Now I'm raising a whore.
Strike 3.
The only place she seems to be able to get any information is the library.
I need help. I have a lot of information, but no good way of sorting it all. And searching through it and stuff.
Taxonomy. You need a taxonomy, like the Dewey Decimal System.
It's here that Susie discovers her love for books and the library itself. Fast forward, and we see that she's now become a librarian, the quintessential naughty librarian. And unfortunately, the bank has decided to foreclose on her beloved library and turn it into a lot. So Susie's been buying all the books that she can, storing them in her apartment, and attempts to save them, which is something that I'm sure nobody here could possibly relate to, hoarding books. Such a silly thing to do. She decides she's going to take a stand and put on fundraising parties in her apartment to help save the library. It's at one of these parties that she meets John.
Hi, I'm Susie.
John, hey.
And hooks up with John.
You sure this is cool?
Yes, this is totally cool.
Oh, right on. Ta-da!
Wow. Boy, that felt nice. How
How
are
are
you here?
you here?
Susie is shocked to learn that John is also able to enter the quiet. Of course, he has a different name for it.
Well, I was young-ish, and,
Yeah, Come World. Named after the adult entertainment store that John honed his interdimensional craft in.
it was like having all the porn in the world. Just for me. The point is, I had my very own porno lending library.
Unlike Susie, who used her interdimensional gifts as an escape, John used his to get free porn. He eventually warmed Susie up to the idea that they could save the library by...
I'm thinking about your library and your books and stuff, right? And I'm thinking about you and me and Cum World.
The store or...
No. The thing we do. The quiet. What we just took. The money you need?
And what better place to steal money than a bank? Things start off okay. I mean, what could go wrong? These two can stop time with their genitals.
So we just got into it. We never took that much. We always took a little. And from a lot of different places. God, I hope we didn't get anyone fired.
Unfortunately.
Children, we know. Are we clear?
What?
We have reason to believe that the two of you have been having sex, freezing time, and pulling off a variety of petty crimes. And you were in the main branch of Bank Corps not an hour ago, rehearsing what appeared to be a robbery.
You don't know that. Wait, how could you know that?
You didn't think you were the only ones, did you? We're watching you. Behave.
They receive an ominous warning from someone who seems to have gotten wise to their little shenanigans. And against her better judgment, Susie decides to go ahead with the heist.
Enough. You two are both under arrest.
What are the charges? On whose authority? Show us your badge or we run.
Trespassing at the very minimum. Public indecency. You have a license for that gun?
It's not a gun.
Susie!
What? It's not.
I warned you. Boys.
The sex police are on the scene. And yes, that name is canon.
John? What happened? John?
Isn't it obvious? You're a prisoner of the sex police.
The sex police have them handcuffed in the back of a minivan. Of course, what kind of handcuffs would the sex police use but sex handcuffs?
I know these cuffs. Come on.
Susie, you were right.
I know.
And with that, and some quick thinking on part of Susie, her and John are on the run as sex criminals. I feel like every time I think that I'm bored with comics, a title like this will come along and prove me wrong. You see, I'm not an avid comic book reader, I'm a casual. And I kind of got nudged into doing comics and going to conventions because I'm an artist more than anything else. And I belong to sort of this unescapable, unplaceable social genre that tends to get lumped in with all sorts of fringe geekdoms. I'm not complaining, but I'm just letting you know that I'm not a die-hard comic aficionado by any stretch of the imagination. And despite that, Sex Criminals is definitely the most fun that I've had in the bath in a while. And I actually care about these characters. I'm looking forward to picking up the next books in the series. And that's not always the case for me with a comic book. But the artwork here is vivid and exciting. And the story is told through a series of flashbacks that are kind of strung together throughout the narrative, and then they tie it together so nicely and so satisfyingly in the end. They also create a rich environment for rereading. This is a world that you can get lost in, and you'll constantly discover nuances within. One of my favorite aspects of this book is actually all the little side art and the signage that you notice in the background. And I don't want to show it here because I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a lot of clever, tongue-in-cheek kind of humor, a lot of well-placed fourth wall breaks that I think are kind of hilarious. One of my favorite bits in the book is actually where they get around the copyright of using a certain Queen song. And I think the way that they did that was absolutely brilliant. And I really loved it and appreciated it so much. I cannot highly recommend Sex Criminals enough. The height to which I really do recommend Sex Criminals. I think that it's an excellent book, and I think that you'll really have a lot of fun if you pick it up. So I'd say that this blind date went exceedingly well. And thank you to Creators Assemble for this opportunity.
A sexy but tasteful thanks to our Patreons who make all of this possible. Yeah. Patreons like Jan Neff Sinclair, our newest Patreon, but that could be you. The lovable Neil, oh, he's so lovable. And the equally lovable Nikki Benfield. And then who doesn't love the Grammarica Show? Jerks, that's who. You don't want to be jerks, so go to patreon.com/lucidnap and help support the show. This episode alone took forever to make because my computer crashes like every 14 minutes and I'd like to get a better one for reasons discussed in previous episodes. Anyway, this episode was starring the talents of Pixie from the Next on Stage 1 podcast, who gave her voice to Susie. Check her out on Twitter, links below. The Doctor was played by DJ Scoob of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur podcast. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Scoob. And the Mother was played by Amy of Art Inspired by Banned Books. Check her out. She has got a whole thing on banned books and the artwork that's inspired by them, as the title suggests. And John was played by Travis Rhett Wilson. Check him out on Twitch as Professor Mort, or as the bipolar god of science fiction. Amazing show. The rest of it was just me messing around, being silly in the bathtub, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, I'm sure you will let me know in the comments or make a nasty little video. Oh, and speaking of nasty little videos, be sure to check out Creeping Wave Radio. It's our audio drama that we're working on, doing a lot of scripting, doing a lot of preparation. It might be a while before the new season emerges, but it'll be worth it. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this, and hopefully more interesting things to come. All right, talk to you later. Bye.